Hi, this is Amir. In this video, we're going to go over questions number 3 and 4. So this is a two-part question, so we're going to treat 3 and 4 like one big question. So you'll see that by doing 3 and 4 at the same time, it actually becomes a lot simpler. So there's 3 steps to this. The first step is to read the question for the first part, for number 3, and then refer to the answer choices of the second question. So the cool thing about two-part questions is that we know where to look for the answer. So instead of trying to scour the entire passage. So I know that for question 3, where the question is which of the following can be inferred about Major Talbot, it's going to be in one of these 4 areas. Lines 11 through 12, 18 through 21, 29 through 30, and 37 through 41. So I've boxed these areas right here to the right. Now, if you want to box it or circle it in your passage, you're more than welcome to do so. I think it's easier to just kind of visually highlight it so you know where it is. So it's going to be the answer is going to be in one of these 4 areas. Step 2 is we're going to eliminate the obvious. So we're going to go through these line references, and chances are maybe 1 or 2 may have absolutely nothing to do with Major Talbot, so we can get rid of those. So let's go through them. So let's look at lines 11 through 12. It was the Southern style and aspect of the place that pleased the eyes of the Talbots. Now, this is not really about Major Talbot himself, but I guess you could infer that, you know, he likes the Southern style of the house. So I wouldn't say it's obviously wrong, so I'm going to put a question mark by it. I'm not going to knock it out completely. Let's look at B. Major Talbot was of the old South. The present day had little interest or excellence in his eyes. His mind lived. Well, this is obviously about Major Talbot, so we don't want to get rid of that. Let's look at 29 through 30. Such clothes were surely never made within 50 years. So it starts with such and then ends with year, so we can end there. If we read in context, again, I'm a little hesitant to eliminate this completely, just because if we read in context, it's talking about his clothes. Out of that period, he had brought all its old pride and scruples of honor and antiquated and punctilious politeness, and you would think it's wardrobe. And it's talking about, you know, maybe you can infer that he was wearing old clothes. Again, just like A, it's not a slam dunk that it's completely out of bounds. So I don't think it's obvious we can eliminate it. So I'm going to put a question mark by it. And then D, but the Major, with all his queer clothes, his immense area of plaited shirt, bosom and little black string tie with the bow always slipping in one side, both was smiled at and liked in Mrs. Vardaman's select boarding house. So this is definitely in as well. So B and D are clearly, you know, about Major Talbot. A and C, not so much. But at the same time, I don't think it was completely obvious to eliminate them. Now, step 3 is to match them up. So the key to two-part questions is that the answer to the first part has to match up with the second part, otherwise it can't be correct. So I'm going to look at the question marks first, because I didn't think they were completely wrong, but I had kind of reservations about them. So this one, you know, it's talking about, we could, I guess, infer that he liked the Southern style of the house. So if we look at the answer choices here, he spends a significant time thinking about the past. That's not about the house. He dresses to amuse his friends. Nope. He wishes the Confederacy had won the Civil War, and his opinions are conservative and old-fashioned. Nothing about the house, so A cannot be right. So we can cross that out. Now let's look at C, 29 through 30. Such clothes were surely never made within 50 years. Well, the only one that talks about clothes is B. He dresses to amuse his friends, intentionally selecting unusual outfits. Well, it doesn't say here that he intentionally selects unusual outfits. We can't infer that, and it doesn't say that he dresses to amuse his friends. So that means C is gone. And then B and D don't really talk about dressing or anything like that. So we can get rid of B up here. Now we can go to, we can also get rid of this, but the major with all his queer clothes, his immense area of plaited shirt bosom, and the little black string tie with the bow. Again, we can get rid of this because it doesn't say he intentionally selects, or we can't even infer that, and it doesn't say he addresses to his friends. So this one as well, we can get rid of because B in the first part is the only thing that's about clothes, and this doesn't match up with this. So we can get rid of that. That leads us with B. So we found that 18 through 21. Major Talbot was of the Old South. The present day had little interest or excellence in his eyes. His mind lived in that period before the Civil War. So it ends at war in line 21. So now we have to look, we're down to A, C, and D. So instead of trying to pick the right answer, I want to eliminate the wrong answer. His opinions are conservative and old-fashioned. Does anywhere, now we could interpret that, but does it say, can we infer that here? Major Talbot was from the Old South. If this is true, does it mean his opinions are conservative and old-fashioned? Not necessarily. The present day had little interest or excellence in his eyes. His mind lived in that period before the Civil War. So that's gone. He wishes that the Confederacy had won the Civil War. Something that we could definitely interpret, but we don't interpret, we don't do that type of inference on the SAT. So it kind of has to say it idea for idea at least. So it doesn't say anything that he wishes the Confederacy had won the Civil War. If he's from the Old South, does that mean he wished the Confederacy? No. The present day had little interest. His mind lived that period before the Civil War, so that's gone. So that leaves us with A. He spends a significant amount of his time thinking about the past. So the present day, so if the present day had little interest or excellence in his eyes and his mind lived in that period before the Civil War, that means he spends a significant amount of time thinking about the past. He's not thinking about the present, and it says his mind lived in that period before the Civil War. This is what inferred means. So inference means the answer is not going to be exactly stated in the passage. It's not going to say he spends a significant amount of his time thinking about the past. It says it idea for idea. So if, I kind of use an if-then statement. If the present day had little interest or excellence in his eyes, means he not really about the present day, and his mind lived in that period before the Civil War, that means he's idea for idea, he's spending a significant amount of time in the past. So that's A. And A and B should match up. Otherwise, it's wrong. So we're going to do another one of these, questions 8 and 9 next, and that's both a two-part question and an inference question. So we'll get another round of practice for that in the next video. So I'll see you there.